Welcome into another Tuesday evening blend. I am Pop Blender, and with me is Matthew Matson holding his haul in hand. I heard you got a package today.
I did, yeah.
Yes.
Green leader standing by. I got all the green meanies right here. It's from 3 Star there. This guy's pretty cool.
Yeah, he looks
Um,
great.
and these are not what you think they are. This is Diamond Select and the regular Marvel Legends.
Maximum,
No,
maximum Hulk. No, no.
no maximum, but you see that I
Wow.
like this guy as Hulk, so I use him
That's that's
him for
great.
for a lot of my pictures because of how much bigger he is
Yeah.
than the Marvel Legends one is big, right? But you know, not as big.
Yeah.
But I
Yep.
mean, look at those butterflies, baby. They just
Man.
they just don't go forward.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. It reminds me of myself, man, when I work out. You guys can tell by my tight shirts and here. And look at Yoda. Look at Yoda's head stretch. Look at that. Those ears. That's good, man. Here, hang on. Let's see. I want to put you on full screen. Show this bad boy off. Hang on. Oh no, I lost me. No, not me. Damn it. One of these days I'll figure out how to run a live stream. By the way, I was being extremely sarcastic on Punk's stream last night when I
Oh yeah,
commented. Yeah, I was being
I
really,
know.
but I don't think he got it.
No,
There you go. Look at that, man, in all its fabulous glory. 3 star draw sent you a nice little package, man. That's pretty cool. Pretty sweet. And I know you guys rave about those figures nonstop.
yeah. I mean, this guy's pretty cool. I really dig how much you can get him to look up. It's pretty neat.
Right.
I mean, he's got really good head mobility compared to most action figures these days.
Yeah, right.
But
But the
he's fun.
pose though, it fits, right? I mean, it's
Oh
straight out of
yeah.
the game.
Well, I mean,
Straight out
yeah,
of the, yeah,
that's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
He
that's
has a little
awesome.
harder time doing the ball, but not too bad. And then I've got Sagat up there getting the cred beat out of him by Ryu.
Yeah, I see those figures out and about every now and then. Not a lot of them. Every now and then, I'll see one or two. And they do. They look fantastic. I know 3 Star talks about them all the time, and I know you do too. But we're here to talk some movies and some TV and some pop culture. But before we get into the chat, I got an email today when I pulled in the
Yeah,
driveway. I got an email when I pulled in the driveway, and
got mine right as the Circle of Jerks was starting.
man, oh man, this is an email that I'm extremely excited about. And they even tell me get excited, so I did.
Yeah.
This was I thought this was gonna be about the 3 figures I've got coming. Okay.
Yeah.
Which they're like, hey, you got Viper coming, Mindbender coming. Who the hell else? Anyway, whatever. So rock and roll. So I figured that's what this was about. It's like, hey, check your shipping, blah blah blah. And then I kind of scrolled through, and I was kind of looked twice, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, okay. Yeah, I'm obviously stoked. Everybody else is too. It's been making the rounds. Excuse me. It's old news now.
Right.
Old news now. There is an interesting conversation going around though about the fact of how quickly this is coming out and whether or not the quality
Yep.
is going to be there. Did they
That'll be
shove
interesting.
this out to get it out from a tariff aspect, or in my opinion, maybe they used a factory that's more efficient and better at getting stuff done,
Yeah,
and
it'll
and
be
and maybe
interesting to
that's the case.
see
We'll
what
see.
factory it came from. If it was from Vietnam or if it was from
Mm-hmm.
China. I know they had already started moving production over to Vietnam. Um, my theory is that's what happened with Dial Tone is that half the production was in China and half the production was in Vietnam, but they hadn't got
Okay.
it rolling yet. I don't know if that's true, but
Yeah,
I
I
do
mean, who
know that
knows?
all of the retro figures say Vietnam on them. I think there were a few before that that said Vietnam also, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Um, but I think it in the process of moving everything over there, the HasLab was either one of the first or one of the last China Vietnam things.
Well, either way, I'm stoked. Can't wait to get it. And it says U.S. Canada late June. Okay, good with me. I'm,
Yeah,
anytime they send these notices, you're looking at maybe 6 weeks or something like that. Before they start to go out, some people might get them a little earlier, as it says in the email. But anyway, I know everybody in the chat is probably stoked about that. Um, and so, yeah, man, I was, that was a very nice surprise today. When I pulled in the driveway, it was literally the top email, and I get a million emails, most of which I don't pay attention to, but
right.
it was the top one. So it had just come in right at like 5 p.m. Central Time, my time. So, but let's get to the chat, man. Let's uh, let's see who's here. And obviously, we always have some people lurking and bouncing. All good with me. Let's check it out. 3-star draw. First in says green leader standing by. Of course, he knows. You know what he's talking about, and everybody else does too now. Dreadnought K6, which he is stoked for sure about the Rattler, as we all are. Menjoza is here. G.I. Jetman is here. Sabir Del Norte is here. What's up? What's new, gents? You guys had a great holiday weekend. I did. I did. I had to. I was off, and then I had to work Monday night, and it was pure madness. Monday holidays at a bar are pretty
Yeah.
crazy where I'm at. So, but yeah, cooked out some steaks Saturday night. Booyah! So yeah, so hopefully everybody had a good one. I hope you had a good one too. Obviously.
Well,
Um,
not exactly.
that just sucked all the air right out of the
Yeah.
damn
Well, I
balloon.
mean, my I was supposed to go see Lilo and Stitch on Saturday, and
Okay.
my allergies and migraines got the better of me all weekend.
I
I
know
did get
that.
to see Mission Impossible on Monday, but the rest of my weekend was basically staying at home and
Damn.
trying to clear that junk out.
I know all
So
too
I
well.
still sound a little bit of it. So
I have one of those sinus like machines with a nozzle, and it like you can put the saline solution in the bottom, and it's like it rapidly shoots it up through your nose. And I actually used that thing like twice this weekend. So I feel your pain, man. I do. Who misses Andor besides you, Sabir? I do. I do miss Andor. I still, man. I
I
loved it.
mean,
I loved it.
that
I'm
that put
sorry.
us on the kick. I mean, we finished Andor, had to go to Rogue One, and then episode or Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. We had to go through all that.
Right.
That's just it's like, well, I always ask my buddy, does it pass the readability test? Do you want to go read the comic books? Do you want to go watch the supplemental
Yeah, sure.
material? And Andor was it. That was good.
It passed the test for me. I don't know that it brings new meaning into Rogue One. I guess you could look into that. Obviously, this show was not, Rogue One was not written with this show in mind. So,
Yeah.
when you go back and you try to piece these things together, it's all head canon in a way,
Right. Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
to me. But at the same time, if writer is able to tack on and add something that adds context even more so than I mean, shit. This show was good for me, so I'm a Tony Gilroy believer at this point. Uh,
Well, as long as he and his brother are teaming up, right? Because his brother wrote those really good episodes.
yeah, yeah. It runs in the family. Yeah, and Sabir also says about the Rattler excitement. QC, yes. I mean, all those little updates and stuff like that they generally do. This is a surprise. I mean, I said it earlier today. There's only one way we're going to find out, and that's when you get it in hand, right? So, it's you'll get it in hand, and then we'll know. It may not be the Dragonfly canopy issue, But one thing I wanted to bring up quickly
Hey, remember
before.
the his tank issues?
Okay, it did. However, the one thing I did want to say about the his tank from a mold perspective, okay, is that was just one big chunk piece, right? Yes, it had a different canopy. You had the two different ones that you could put on there, and the back as far as the door and everything. But as far as a product, the Dragonfly had is a completely different thing in my
Yes.
opinion,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
When you're
but
trying to
both of
tool
them,
that.
but both of them had canopy issues.
Yes, and if there's gonna be an issue on anything like this, to me,
Yeah.
it would be your canopy, right? It'd be
Yeah.
lining up. It'd be the strength of it, in
Well, and
snapping it in.
right, and how it articulates and how well it does, because even on the original Sky Striker and the original vehicles, there were canopy issues that happened there too.
Yes,
Um,
so
yeah.
that's not uncommon, right? Like so we'll see. But I just felt like the hiss just was just that big bulk piece. So you didn't have as many pieces to put together or take
The
apart.
well, those ladders, so, like mine, if you plop them down, they don't pop back.
Well, one thing I want to bring up about the Rattler is then we're going to see now where the wings,
Yeah.
right? The wings,
Yep.
they twist, they come up, right?
Well,
You know,
we'll
you've
see.
got
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll see.
So we'll see when we get it in hand, and everybody's going to be showing it off. Of course they are. And hey, put us on in the background. I love it. I
Yep.
love it. Love it. Love it. Let's see here.
There's a
Men
bunch of them I should have started going back to.
Menjoza asked if we saw Hellboy 3 news. I did not see Hellboy 3
Well,
news.
I mean, Hellboy 3, no, I haven't heard anything on Hellboy 3 because Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman have moved on from that. And Ron Perlman's so old now, I don't know that he could come back to play
No, yeah,
Hellboy.
no,
So
there's
it
no.
can't be Hellboy 3, but they've rebooted it 2 times since then. So I don't know. I still need to see that last one. I really kind of want to because there's more Cthulhu stuff in it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and so I was interested in
You
that.
talking about David Harbour?
No, the one after that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, but there's a couple other comments in there. Star
Hey,
Wars.
if you were finishing an episode of Andor 3 star, what episode did you finish?
Well, yeah. Well, finally, what would we get
Yeah.
to? What did we get to?
Joe Fan 84 in the house. What's up, buddy? Let's see here. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Dreadnought K6 was asking me about something. I have no idea what a BBL is. I don't know what you mean by that. I
Brazilian
don't
butt
do.
lift. That's
Okay. Yeah.
that's the Cardi B's of the world, the
Gotcha.
Nicki
Okay.
Minaj's of the world, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah. I don't do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so I wouldn't know. I do real jiu-jitsu,
Why?
which is a complete martial art, which takes all aspects of jiu-jitsu, not just the rolling around on the ground with other guys part of it.
So if a BBL will benefit you in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, then maybe, just maybe, it would help you break somebody's ass cheek in 5 different places. Oh, that's a throwback, ladies and gentlemen. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Anyway, all right, Miss Joseph sent me a link on IG. I will check that out while we're cutting it up here a little bit. A lot of comments coming in,
Well,
so
yeah,
I'll make sure
so
I don't get too far behind.
there's a lot of misinformation that gets thrown out there, and a lot of speculators are throwing nonsense out there. That
Yeah.
project is tied up in so many different production companies. I can't imagine that somebody's got real control over it right now. So I don't know that that would be real
I
news or
think,
not.
I mean, in Selma Blair, I mean, I know she's doing well. Doesn't she have multiple sclerosis?
Who's that? I missed
Selma
it.
Blair.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
She's had it for years. So
Okay.
I don't know what condition she is
Well,
in, but I
it yeah,
remember that diagnosis. I'm pretty sure.
it just matters
Um,
whether it's in a relaxing remitting phase or what kind of
right.
phase that it's in.
Yeah, CGI Jetman says she has MS. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
her talking about that. Now, again, like you said, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right?
Yeah.
It does. I mean, it's a big deal, but a lot of things are like that, whether they're very aggressive or whether and obviously, let's not kid ourselves. Stars, people that have the means, have the access to medicines and treatments that a lot of us do not have.
Now, have you
And it's
seen the Joel McHale story?
no. I like Joel McHale. I
So
liked him
so
when he did
okay.
Talk Soup back in the
So
day.
so here's the deal. If you watch him in Talk Soup and then you watch him in Community,
Okay.
There's something completely different about that man. By the end of Talk Soup, he was almost completely bald. Right?
Really?
Yeah, he was losing his hair. And then he went overseas and did an illegal procedure, hair transplant
Stem
thing, or
cell, yeah.
I don't know what it was, but he went
Right.
overseas and did a procedure that's not allowed here in the United States. And he came back and did Community and reignited his career because he had that wonderful head of hair. And
Really
and at the end of Talk Soup, you can see it. He didn't have any hair at the end of Talk Soup.
interesting.
Yeah, it's
Man, I know nothing of that, and I, like I said, I like Joel McHale. Not that I keep up with the guy, of course.
yeah.
Right?
No,
We're sitting here
but
ruminating about Joel McHale, y'all. It's exciting.
he's doing a oh, not a Parks and Rec. It's a an animal show.
Oh yes, I saw that. Yeah. I
Yes,
saw that.
it's
Yeah,
it's
it's animal
funny.
control type
Yeah,
show.
animal
Yeah,
control. Yes,
it's that, and it's that type of comedy,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
office type ish thing, or your Modern Family ish type camera, right? That
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
kind of the new style sitcom. We've moved
he's
away
still
from
doing it. I
the
like
three
it.
camera sitcom kind of thing. Yeah, no, I've heard it's pretty good. District 10. Look, are you talking about a sequel to District 9? If that's the case, I love some District 9. Uh, I love some District 9. Season 2, Episode 9. 3 stars about to be over
You're
it. It's
about to
about to
get it,
be.
man.
Andor's almost over for 3 star. He's gonna feel like us too. He's gonna start.
Yep.
He's gonna have cold sweats and shakes, and he's gonna be
So
thinking about
I,
how good it was.
I will say that the last three episodes are a little bit jarring. I would have liked to had a little more filler information between 9 and 10, but they jump
Yeah.
right into it and kick it off, and a lot of stuff's happening. And I actually enjoyed kind of how it played out. I don't mind Benjamin Bratt filling in that role. And
No.
if you look close enough, that is this exact same outfit that Jimmy Smits wore in Rogue One. So
Um. Yeah, you're right, and I don't mind the that change, right?
yeah, it's
The thing of
fine.
it was, look, they had to do the show this way because it would have cost probably like, I don't know, $1.9 billion to make over 4 seasons. And,
Oh yeah, if you think about that way, yeah, no, they couldn't have done four
there's yeah,
seasons,
there's
and
no way,
nobody would have watched it because
nobody, no.
if you drew out those 3 episode arcs into full
Oh
seasons,
God,
it would not
we
have been
you
good.
would have been at the wedding for like the whole season,
And you know what? Everybody misses the
practically.
point of the wedding scene.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Anyway,
agree. We won't dive deep
yeah.
into it. I know it's been a while. I know that
But if you haven't seen it, go back and watch Andor. It was good, season 2 especially.
totally worth it. And yes, Dreadnought was talking about District 9. I love District 9. I
Yeah,
do. I love District 9. I liked Chappie. Like I just thought those movies were
Chappie.
unique and different and goofy. And I like that style. I like the directing style. And so yeah, if they're gonna make District 10, I'm all in. I'll watch it. That's for sure. I'd love to watch it. So looking at current box office, the reason I wanted to really bring this up mainly is because Lilo and Stitch has come out of the gate, very strong, and that was to be expected. There are some changes. There are some changes to the movie from the original. They're
Yeah, my
not.
wife was telling me about some of those, and
Oh yeah,
it's interesting.
for it is interesting. Does it ruin it for people? I'm gonna say
Probably
probably
not.
not.
Nah.
But there are people who have never seen the original that
Yeah.
like the character, or it looks good to them. They like the trailer. Uh,
My
you
my
know,
wife said that the cartoon is still much better.
yeah, and I think you'd find that. I mean, worldwide, it's at 361 million, so it's jumped out and done
Yep.
gangbusters
Oh
here
yeah.
right out of the
And
gate.
that's what we said it would do.
Yes, it was. That's not hard. I mean, look, these animated movies so often, especially well-known IP,
Yeah.
it's like a money-making factory, man. Unless you
Yeah.
really, really screw it up,
Yep.
which has happened. Look at the Buzz Lightyear movie. That
Well,
was an
yeah.
absolute
They stepped in it.
disaster.
They
An
stepped in it
absolute
on that one.
disaster. They had a home run hitting a home run right in front of you,
Could have had it.
and they absolutely stepped in it.
It
Um,
it would have been so easy. I mean, they did an animated show already, and if you had taken elements from that animated show and made it into another CGI cartoon, whatever, I
right.
think it would have been amazing. Whether you had Tim Allen or not, I think if you had done what that cartoon show had done, it would have worked well with the audiences that it was targeted to or should have been targeted to.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I will say with Lilo and Stitch, for those that did see the know the original, at the end is really kind of, there's this controversy going on, and I'm not going to get into it, but there's a little bit of a controversy going on with the character's decision at the end of this new
Yeah,
version,
yep. There's
and
that.
whether or not that's is in line with the original and
Yep,
family and taking care of family and all that. But again, for those that have don't know the original, you won't know it, right?
yep,
And Lilo and Stitch, 3 star, liked it. Yes, it beat Snow White's total gross in one weekend.
yep.
Absolutely. 100%. Not very hard to do, I would say, considering. Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning. You and I are going to talk about that to finish up and kind of give our review of it.
Yeah.
79 million domestic is not the kind of returns that you would want. Now, look, international, it's done very well.
Hey, it's got a better opening than any other Mission Impossible film
Well,
ever.
and that's true, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that as we lead up to our review, definitely, because I've got a nice message from Tom Cruise,
Two nice messages.
yes, spoken and written,
Yep.
and then Final Destination Bloodlines. An easy, depending on the budget, an easy win for Warner Brothers,
Oh
right?
yeah.
That those movies do well. Just keep it. It's like keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep it down the line. Do what the movie does, and you'll be okay. And Final Destination, that's don't stray too far from the path. Thunderbolts still chugging along.
People are still talking about it. People still seem to like it.
357 million. Yep. That if it's at 357, there has to be repeat viewings, right? Like
Yeah.
there has to be people going back to see it a second time. It's funny though on here that it's still called Thunderbolts. Don't you find that interesting that they haven't changed the name of it here on the numbers? It's Thunderbolts. It should be the New Avengers because they've changed the
No,
title.
no, it's the Thunderbolts. I mean, they're never going to be the new Avengers. Sorry, it's
You
just
and
not
I
going to
know
happen.
that, but they changed the name, not
Yeah,
me. It wasn't my choice. Sinners, man, hanging in. So look. Okay,
Sinners.
let's just get rid of the
That's
rest of
awesome.
this list. Let's get rid of
Yeah,
the rest of this list. Who cares? Except for one movie. The top five, that's a pretty good box office considering how
yeah,
bad it's been, right? You've
yep,
got some solid movies in there, repeat viewing.
yep. This was a
Minecraft movie
weekend.
is also hanging in at number 7. But yeah, this is solid.
This was a weekend the theaters needed to have.
Yeah,
They
right.
they desperately needed this to happen, and they needed it to happen when Snow White was out. And they're still trying to reel and try and recover from that. So they're putting every effort into this, and they're ramping up for the summer season, hoping that more and more people get interested in going to the movies. But the more and more people I talk to, don't give a flip about the next Marvel movie anymore. People are washing their hands of Marvel. People are
Man,
hopeful for Superman. People are
right.
excited about Superman. But I honestly think more people are going to go see Dinosaur movie than anything else.
Oh, 100%. You know that's going to do well. And
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I know it's going to do well, and I'll tell you why. Because the other day, while I was out shopping with my son, 17 years old, and you know what our conversation was?
Hmm.
I love dinosaurs.
Hey,
And
17,
you know
man.
what?
It's there.
I love dinosaurs too.
And
I
everybody,
I always have.
you know
And
what you're going to get with a dinosaur
yes,
movie.
yes, I fucking love dinosaurs. And I'm gonna say this. So we stop at a store. So goofy. We stopped at a store like on Sunday, I think it was. And We go to get something to drink, and he goes over to the aisle, and you know this, Matthew. You know how it is, and those with kids. He found the little juice thingies that have the little toppers on them that have like Disney characters or
Yeah. Uh-huh.
dinosaurs with a little that you pop it up and you
Yep.
drink the juice. He got the dinosaur juice thing that has like 6 ounces of juice
Right.
and brought it back home and washed it out. And he's like, "Don't you dare throw away my dinosaur cup." And I was like, "You're 17 years old."
Yeah.
So to your point, yes, dinosaur movie is gonna rock that ass.
Yeah.
Bottom line, but I will say this about the Marvel thing too. You are right. I mean, we had a very good run of those movies, and the last 5 years has
Yeah.
somewhat, not just somewhat, diminished that excitement for a lot of people, regardless of whether you think the movie's great or whatever. All you have to do is look at the box office. All you have to do is look at the interest
Yep.
by the general public. And yeah, I think this Doomsday thing that got pushed back is going to renew interest, right? It's going
I,
to
I,
make people come back. I think
if,
it's got Robert Downey. He's got some cash. It's going to bring people
yeah,
to the theater
as long as this Fantastic Four movie is at least decent, it's not going to break 1 billion, but if it's at least decent enough, people will come back and see Doomsday, and they're going to get excited for Doomsday.
for sure.
And that's what it needs to do. Honestly, it needs to be a knock it out of the park thing, but that ain't going to happen with Fantastic Four. I'm sorry, it's not. I don't think it's going to happen with Superman either, but we'll
I
see.
don't either. I don't either. I mean, unfortunately, we just don't know a lot about. We really don't know a lot about Superman.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do. It's a James Gunn movie made by James Gunn, written by James Gunn, starring James Gunn. Oh, and his brother, and his dog, and his cousin, and his
I
nephew, and
forgot.
it's
I
James Gunn's
forgot.
James Gunn.
I forgot that memo. I forgot that email. Look, being facetious about it though, that's really how it's been marketed.
It has
So
been. It
we
hasn't been
joke
marketed
about
on
that.
Superman. It hasn't been
Yeah,
marketed on Hope. It hasn't been marketed on Inspiration. It's been marketed on James Gunn.
it's we do uh seem facetious about it and make that joke a lot, but that's really how the cast has talked about the movie. That's how James Gunn has talked about the movie. That's how anyone associated with it has talked about
Yeah.
it, is about him and not really the characters.
Yep.
And so maybe this is the new thing taking the place of like all the pronoun stuff and the this and that. You know how they would talk about all that movies saving lives and all that shit, right? Like Eternals. And maybe this is the new thing that's going to take the place of talking about the characters and
Yeah.
the movie, is that we're going to talk about the director and how
Yeah.
important
Well,
he is or
no.
she
So
is.
no. We need to talk about the characters. We need to talk about who the characters are to get people involved in the story again. I mean, come on.
um so yes, 3 star. Yes, talking about dinosaurs and the juice cup and all that, and I got all the toys behind me.
Hey, man. I mean, you're the example, right?
You got that right. Yes, Superman trailer on Lilo showed more. I have not heard about that, but
It's. I
yeah,
mean, it wasn't anything different than I had seen before from the trailer I saw with Mission Impossible.
yeah,
It's pretty much the same stuff. It didn't have the robot dumb humor stuff, which is gonna, that kind of stuff is gonna draw me out. The James Gunnisms
sure.
are gonna draw me out of the movie, and it's gonna piss me off because this is a Superman movie. It's supposed to be about Superman and hope. And
Well,
and from what I'm seeing from Corn Sweat, he can't pull it off. That whole interview scene where he's getting pissed off pisses me off because that's not what Superman would do. That's not what Clark would do. At the
yeah.
point that he's in Metropolis with Lois Lane at the Daily Planet, he would have better control over his emotions at that
I
point.
I do have to say that I don't like the way that's how the portrayal is, especially at the beginning of the trailer. Really, it's hey, she spins the recorder around, and I'm going to interview you as Superman, okay, and then all of a sudden it's she's trapping him, right, with his answers. And some people say, "Oh, well, that's what a reporter does." They get you to say something and then they question you about it. But like it comes across as just really shitty.
Yeah, it
And
does.
and but I get what they're going for. They're trying to
Yeah,
show him as saying like, "Hey, look, I'm doing the right thing." Well, what is the right thing? We all have in our minds what the right thing
right.
is, but maybe our right thing isn't the right thing for everybody. I get it, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the Superman that we want to delve into. That's not the
I,
character we
I,
want to get to know here.
I
Damn
mean,
it.
that was literally the biggest criticisms of Man of Steel, right? Is that it didn't feel like Superman. So, oh, it'll be Superman in the next movie. Oh, we're going to talk about that too tonight. Um,
Right. Right.
but you have to start off Superman as being the hopeful, inspirational character. It's the only way you can go. It's the way the character has always shined the best.
I
You know,
just I just feel like right now I just feel like that's the best direction
yeah.
to
I mean,
go.
people are tired of nihilistic bullshit.
This cynicism and look, I'll be man. Look,
That was
anybody
the
that's
biggest
watched me,
criticism of the Snyderverse is that nobody could see shit because it was all washed out colors and
right?
dark, and you couldn't see anything.
But
And
the
so that's what Joss Whedon did. And he screwed that movie up totally, but he put color back into it, and people were like,
right.
"Oh, I like that color."
I mean, I just, anybody that's watched me knows I'm cynical about a lot of things, but I do think overall people really do want something that is more hopeful than cynical, right? We've had enough of tearing down people and ripping into people and looking for every single flaw.
Yep.
That's
Well,
fine for a while, but I
and
think, people want to find something to believe in, to
yep.
build up, right?
And I'll say this:
What's
three
up,
stars.
Frank?
Cynicism is never out of style. Well, to a degree, it does go in and out of style
Yeah,
because
sure.
in the '80s, some of the best movies were the hopeful, fantasy movies in whatever genre, whether it was action, military, whatever. It was hopeful still. And once you deconstruct a genre, that genre is dead. You can make good product from it. You can have little things that come out here and there. The Unforgiven, Tombstone. You can have these westerns that come about, but once you deconstruct it, it is dead. And the superhero genre has been deconstructed.
I mean, that's, started, you know, decades ago.
Well,
Alan Moore,
so
probably being the most
in
famous
in the
case of
comic book genre, yes.
deconstruction. Yeah,
In the comic book genre, yes, but that the Watchmen didn't come out in film until much later.
sure.
And not necessarily. Uh, you look at Logan. Honestly, Logan is really kind of that turning point. Logan is the full deconstruction of the superhero genre that turned everything around, and people started losing interest at that point because some of the movies were starting to get bad. Um,
Yeah.
or had been bad, and then you have the deconstruction thing and it piles on and it just kind of
Look,
ruins the mystique of superheroes.
but Logan was done so well, and you're not every movie is going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Not in that way.
Well,
And
but I mean, Logan's not a movie you go rewatch, right? It's too heavy.
man, yeah, it's those scenes with Xavier are
Yeah.
pretty tough
Well,
to
and if you have
watch.
known anyone who has suffered from dementia,
Right.
it's even harder to rewatch if you've
Yeah, I
watched
mean,
that decline.
I can understand that, but I also feel like sometimes people find comfort in seeing things that they can fully relate to, right? In a way,
Yeah.
I get that. In Dreadnought, you're not alone in
No,
having
yeah.
zero interest in another Superman movie. I
I
do
get it.
feel like that is going to be why that movie does not do the kind of numbers that people are wanting it to do, because I think people are just kind of like, yeah, look. Man of Steel, uh, you know, Batman versus Superman, right? Justice League, man, I got burned. It's like I don't know if I can jump back into that pool again. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people like that.
I get it. Quite honestly, the most marketable DC character will always, in my opinion, be Batman because he's human. It's a detective. It's noir. It's crime. It's so many. It's murder mystery. It's supernatural. You
Right.
can do anything with Batman, and it's a human character fighting these things off. Right? He's a detective. Whatever. Superman's a lot harder to do because he's supposed to be inspirational. He's supposed to be the hero of all heroes.
Speaking of that, it is interesting though, and I'm sure people in the chat might comment on this, but how do you take a character that is so good, that is invincible in a way? How do you make that interesting? And I think that's part of
Yes.
why you have deconstruction, or that's part of why you try to figure out ways that the especially when they did the Superman dies, is dead comic.
Yeah.
Um, how do you make a character like that interesting? Because that gets kind of difficult, right?
Well,
If you
and
can't
that's
really
why
kill
not
him
everybody
and you
can
can't,
write Superman.
that's true. No, you're absolutely right. I guess it's more of a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
I just, I could see where people definitely would have that issue. What do you do with that character? War chest full of toys is in the house. It says it's like I could feel someone was talking shit on James Gunn. Fuck that clown. Yeah. And I did say hey to Frank Doom and you too. Just want to say hey, what's up, buddy? Um, yeah, I look.
Dreadnought, you threw something else out there that's, it's a rumor. There's a lot of evidence to support that rumor. But, uh, I don't like the guy. I don't like his humor necessarily all the time. But, you
He
know,
was one of the lucky chosen ones to come back from absolute cancellation and
yep, he sure
loss of a
was.
movie franchise
Yep.
to be able to come back and direct another movie in said franchise.
Oh, whoa,
That
hold
is
on, hold on.
so rare.
Hold on a second. A movie that he had already written years before.
Yeah.
That script wasn't changed.
Yeah, right.
That script was not changed.
Um, yeah, Morchest didn't really care for Logan. 3 star, the
Yeah,
Nolan Batman trilogy for deconstruction.
I don't think that's really
I, I,
deconstruction.
I don't either. I was just getting ready to say that. I agree with you. I don't think that was necessarily deconstruction. I think it's more of taking a character and then breaking them down,
Yeah.
not in a deconstruction way, but in a character way of overcoming adversity in the story. I guess
Yeah. So,
it
so
kind
no, no,
of.
so deconstruction is the process of taking apart every aspect of their life, analyzing it, and
Yeah.
coming up with a modern psychological conclusion about those decisions and making judgment on the character and showing the flaws of that character. I don't think the Nolan Batman movies did that really.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's what I don't think that was what it was about.
right. That's yeah.
you know. But everyone will agree that Heath Ledger. Oh my god,
Man.
come on with it.
Yeah.
Puck with Toys is in the house. What's up, man? Hanging out on a
What's up?
Tuesday night with one of your moderators.
Well, since the other one wasn't on tonight, apparently,
Oh
I mean,
no,
he was supposed to be, but I guess he
son of a
wasn't. I don't
bitch.
know. I was looking. I was looking. I was trying to help out, but no.
Hey, it
Um,
happens, man. It's
yep.
okay. It's okay. Joe Fan 84 definitely not really interested in Superman as well. So it's interesting. And I really didn't plan on going into this topic this much, but I do find it that we're getting close to the movie
Yeah.
coming out. It's going to be coming up soon, and I'm interested to hear what are people interested. Johnny Reno, cheers to you. Definitely good to see you, man. Yeah, the first Guardians definitely was great. The second one, I wasn't as
I
hip on.
I
The
really like the
third
second
one,
one, but you know,
it was
the,
fine, but the first one really ultimately, was just a fun, goofy. That
yeah,
the opening scene of the movie, I thought
yeah,
was absolutely hilarious.
absolutely. Well, the opening scene was like, ugh.
Well, I'm talking about when Star Lord is trying to steal the thing. Is that the opening scene? Or he ends up like singing and dancing, and he's got the guys after him
No, the opening scene was his mom dying of cancer
in the first movie.
in the first movie.
Shit, I blocked that shit out, man.
They,
I'm talking
yeah,
about the first. I know.
they
I'm
went
talking
to
about the
that
first
after.
meaningful scene.
What? Oh no!
Damn.
Oof.
No, that's why I blocked that shit out.
Uh, yeah.
Damn, G.I. Jetman, straight up. He says Christian Bale sucked.
I'm
Boy,
Batman. I'm
son of a
Batman.
bitch.
I'm Batman.
Uh, oh, good for you.
Good for you.
Hey, listen. So I told you about the guy that works in VFX that I met, Steven. He knows the guy that was being yelled at.
Oh, nice.
He's worked with him, and
Yeah.
he told me that if you knew his friend, you'd understand why Christian Bale was yelling at him. Because on set he can't sit still and he moves
oh,
shit and touches shit. And he
oh
was like, dude, if
no.
you would and that's what it was
Oh
about, is he was like
no.
moving shit on set and couldn't sit
No.
still. And he's like, dude, if you only knew, he's like, about him, that's why he got yelled at. He's like, I trust me, I get it.
Yeah.
He's like, he drives people crazy on set. So I was like, okay, all right, a little back in information I
Yeah.
did not know. Let's see
Man,
here.
I'd love to talk to that guy.
Yeah, no,
Because
I'm gonna set him up. I'm gonna set him up and get him on to cut up with us.
yeah, because my wife worked with Digital Domain back in the day, and did stuff with them on Fifth Element and things like that. So that'd be
Right,
cool.
right. Yeah, no. Right now he is currently working on the Stephen King It prequel. He's doing
Oh, okay.
composite VFX on
Is
that right now.
Skarsgård involved with that?
I think so. I'm not sure. I haven't even looked it up. I knew it was happening, and I haven't had a chance to really talk to him about it per se.
Yeah,
But he's definitely, it's interesting because he's like, look, he's like, we can talk about movies, we'll talk about VFX shots, things that I
sure.
like. If you think I think this looks good, he said, but knowing how the sausage is made is not
Yeah.
interesting at all.
Well, yeah,
He's like, it's
I get
not
that.
interesting at all.
I know I've done some of it. I know how
Yeah.
tedious it actually is.
But yeah, definitely. And when you do it for work, it's like if you you'd rather just talk movies and all that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but yeah, I'll have him on and we'll cut up with him sometime, man. It'd be a lot of fun. Giraffes in the house this evening. All
What's
I missed
up?
the Haley Atwell decompression scene, which carried the movie. Hell and yes, because that would decompress me. It would compress me actually. It would compress and
It would
decompress
create a
me
tightness in your
over and
pants.
over and over again. I would compress and decompress and then compress again and decompress. Yeah,
uh,
those lovely ladies. Yes. um, let's see. Punk and by the way, Punk had mentioned earlier. You saw that Ed and them are going to do 1 year anniversary. So they're going on tomorrow for a 1 year anniversary, I believe.
okay.
He said, I think Speck said the same thing about that the guy that Bale yelled at. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so maybe Speck knows him too. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. That'd be interesting. It's a small world, isn't it?
Well,
Uh,
in the film industry, it can be.
um, yeah, no, yeah. I firmly believe that. Absolutely. Um, okay, so where do you?
Dreadnought K6, anybody's better than Ruffalo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you ain't get fucking no joke.
Well, hey,
Uh,
people are talking about Hulk being in the next whatever movie, and
well,
it's
who
like,
wants Beta Hulk?
yeah, yeah. Well, I
Who
mean, who wants Ruffalo? Who cares about Ruffalo? You don't need Ruffalo. You can CGI that shit, and all he has to say is Hulk smash, and we're good, right? I mean,
I mean, I just don't. They've you can't go back now. You can't
yeah,
go back to the Hulk being badass. Like
no.
he's
Well,
Professor Hulk now. He's got the smarts too. I just, is that character funny? Could it be? Yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. But Mark Ruffalo as a person, no, I'd leave him at the door. But I just don't know
Kate,
where you go with that character.
yeah, Dreadnought, yeah. Norton was a superior banner in every way, and it's unfortunate that they couldn't go with him. But I'm kind of glad that they didn't. But at the same time, I don't know. Whatever. It is the way it worked out, and it's okay, I guess. But it's Disney still doesn't have the rights to Hulk. They can't make a Hulk movie.
Yeah, I
And
know.
they're never going to be able to make a Hulk movie.
I
They're
know.
never going to be able to make a Spider-Man movie because they lost those rights. They sold them to Sony and to Universal, and those companies are never going to let them go.
Yeah, no. I mean, well, you'd be a fool. You'd be a fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you 100% be a fool to do that. I did find really quickly. So we were talking about Andor. We were talking about Tony Gilroy, and discussing how we both really enjoyed his writing on this show. Um, and I found an article about he was commenting on the Marvel movies. And I thought this was actually kind of interesting, man. And I don't know that I even shared this with you, but I had saved it and forgot all about it. The Wall Street Journal, uh, and Bounding, no, it's Bounding into Comics, actually, not Wall Street Journal. Andor showrunner Tony Gilroy says Marvel movies fail because of their reliance on MacGuffins. All you're doing is just trying to get the Tesseract. Um,
I mean, it's the J.J. Abrams effect, right? The
it,
mystery
it, it
box.
it's interesting though, but it's the find the MacGuffin storyline over and over and over again, regardless of what characters, what movie, whatever you're trying to do. That's basically what you're doing. And it says that Gilroy admitted that while the base narrative of Cassian Andor's final days was the same, this take had a lot of extraneous and stupid elements that did nothing to serve the story. He was talking about the original version of the Disney Plus show, which was planned to have 5 seasons,
Yeah.
and so they had to kind of chop that up. But he says, I think in the very beginning, I had my original files before we started season one, before we went to the writers' room in the very beginning, pre-COVID, and he talked about what season one was and trying to stop panicking, trying to write out the Gorman massacre, which I think was going to be the culmination of everything in
Yeah.
Andor. But the fact of him, let's see if I can find it really quickly here. Come on, God, it's a long article.
Well, but they kind of blew the Gorman massacre because they didn't have Tarkin land a Star Destroyer on everybody. But
Okay,
that was the true massacre.
so so uh, so he says here, the Tesseract. That's why all those Marvel movies are. That's why they fail. Is that they're all just trying to go for the Tesseract, and that it's just a one MacGuffin after another. And I thought it was interesting coming from someone who's working within Disney. It's not the first time though that somebody has kind of criticized, obviously, like a franchise or whatever within the same company that you're working for. And I was trying to come up with and what would be a MacGuffin in Andor? Like what would be your MacGuffin?
The radio,
I
the
guess.
key,
Yeah,
the
right.
the communication device, right? The thing that they have to get from the piece of art, the surveillance device.
Right.
The fact that one of your guys got captured and is going to be interrogated, so you got to take him out, right? So there's always something.
But that's
The Death
so
Star plans.
yes, right. And that's what I was thinking. I'm like, isn't there kind of always a MacGuffin to really
There
move a story along? There's got to be some
there has to be.
common goal that everyone's
Now
going for.
now the difference being is is the MacGuffin truly central to the theme of what's going on, or is the MacGuffin just the device? Right? Is it just
Right.
the one that transports you to a world between worlds, and then you got to find all your dead friends and decide to stay there? Okay, I mean, the MacGuffin device, the GI Joe. Anyway, um,
Yeah. Shit. I wasn't ready for that.
so I mean, you've got to have some kind of plot motivation, and whether that is motivation from internal or external, a lot of times something external is what it has to be to get the character to be internally motivated to do something about it, right? And so that's
Right.
your MacGuffin, and it's a big storytelling point. So most stories have them. It's kind of
So
hard to
so
not have
like
them.
Rise of Skywalker. our MacGuffin is the Sith Wayfinder,
Yep. The
right?
dagger.
The dagger. Got to get the dagger, which I no fuck
There
it.
were
I'm
there were
not
about
even.
three.
I
There were
can't
three
get in.
MacGuffins in that.
I was gonna start. I can't go into that movie. There's too
All right.
much.
I'd rather
There's
not because I
yeah.
haven't seen
There's
it in forever and I don't want
yeah.
to lose more brain cells on that.
Yeah, there's too much. Like
Yeah.
it's even just getting the dagger, how they stumble across it in the desert.
What the
It's
freaking
fucking
dagger
shit.
is.
I can't even. And then let alone you, where on the shore would you be standing to have this exact view of the Death Star?
Well, and
Like,
then how would
to
you know
see
how
it.
the Death Star would fall 1,000 years before the Death Star fell in that spot? I mean, it's the Goonies doubloon that lines up perfectly with the whatever.
I'm sorry. Thinking about it now, it's so
So
fucking
dumb.
stupid.
Horses on a Death Star. Horses in space riding
How
on the
did
surface
how
of a
did we
Death
get
Star or of
here?
a Star Destroyer.
How did we get here? I'm sorry.
It got out of hand.
Ronnie Trick Shots in the house. What's going on, Ronnie? Uh,
Hey, have you heard of the show The Internet?
yes, I believe I have. Refresh me, but I'm pretty
That's
sure.
that's the next one on my list to watch. Gary's been talking about it. I've been curious about it.
Ah,
It's on Netflix. It's the
there it is.
Eternaut,
Yes, yes, yes,
and
yes, yes.
it's on Netflix, and it's an Argentinian sci-fi
Let's just share
story
that shit. Let's just share it right now. Here we
that
go.
was
Bang.
it was
95% Rotten Tomatoes.
yep, it was written in the 50s, and it tells a really good, very interesting story. People are engaged with it, story wise, character wise, writing. Yes, it's subtitled because it's Argentinian, uh,
I'm fine with that.
but it's also apparently the 1950s version, not the rewrites in the 1970s. Because the
Okay.
guy went full Marxist communist and rewrote his story in the 70s to coincide with his
Yes.
worldview. But in the 50s, it didn't have that in it. And so it's a much more interesting story that's more coherent.
Yes. I
And they took that original version to make this at least the first season of the TV show.
okay. This yes, I've heard about it. I um definitely want to see this because I have
War
heard
Chest
good
likes
things
it.
about it. Yeah. I've heard good things about it. Yep, so far, so far. Yeah, man. No, I've heard good things about it. Yeah, the deadly snowfall kills millions. Yeah, I read a synopsis the other day, and I am definitely on
Yeah.
board with this, man. I'd like to check it out. Of course, I also need to start Mobland too. You know what I mean?
Oh, Mobland's
So,
so great, man! You're gonna
oh
love that
no,
show.
yeah. I've
And
no, I've
we need
heard
to talk
all
more
too
about
well.
that
That's cool.
because
That's cool.
the season finale comes up this week. So
Yeah,
it might be nice to
yeah.
do a wrap up of it. I don't know if you can watch that many episodes in that short of time. I still have a bunch to catch up on, but
Giraffe, the dagger had the force and willed them to that spot. Yes, it makes so much sense, doesn't it? Uh,
yeah,
yeah, I definitely want to check out the Eternaut though.
yeah.
I heard good things about it just literally like 2 3 days ago. So,
I've been hearing
um,
about it for a couple weeks, and it's like, oh man, I keep getting back to that, but I got to
sweet.
do Mobland. But I also want to finish Blue Eyed Samurai. I mean, Blue Eyed Samurai is really good. I enjoy it. Dreadnought, maybe not for you. I don't know, but I thought it was good.
Well, I will say this. Um,
Yes,
we
Lawrence,
did,
we did say that, and
yes,
you
yes,
review
we
that
did.
show. You've reviewed every episode of that show, so
Um,
without us. So thank you.
we did see where, yep. The HBO's Harry Potter TV series has officially found its Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and I love this picture. Uh,
Ah, I
I
agree with
it's
most
great.
people. Harry and Ron look great. Hermione, she's okay. I mean, we'll see how how it works out. Um,
Yes,
but just remember, she's going to get called a mudblood. She's going to be sticking up for the house elves, and she's going
it's
to lead a revolt of the house elves in this show, and I mean, they kind of ruined the casting with Snape, but
The Snape casting, I think,
Yeah.
is definitely going to pose a problem.
Yes.
My biggest concern, Matthew, these to do this properly,
Yeah.
these people are going to be signed up for what, 14 years, 12 years?
I
Is
mean,
Jonathan Lithgow going to survive another
no.
12 or 14 years?
Well, yeah, no, I don't believe that
I
he
mean, I just
will.
don't know how, if they're going to do it the way they want to do it, this is going to take over a decade to do. And kids age out of shit. I mean, you know, I don't know. That's kind of my biggest thing. I mean, look, from a character standpoint, we knew it was going to have some kind of, you know, shenanigans, right?
Yeah.
We knew
Yeah.
there was going to be some some kind of whether it's
Well,
race
and
swapping or gender swapping or
yeah,
whatever.
somebody else brought up a terrible point, and that is all of these whack jobs that are out there that have their political agenda are going to be attacking these kids starting now.
Oh, 100%.
They're going to be attacking these children
Yes.
before they've even filmed the frame, and they're going to be hounding them about being a part of this property because of who created it and how they don't like that one viewpoint that that one creator has, and they're going to try and destroy the whole show by attacking these children, and they've already
I
started.
I here so I have a question. When the original cast came out, did they get attacked or was that such a big deal? I'm not saying there weren't people that maybe thought Harry should be older or younger or this look or that look, but like the vitriol. What I mean is when the original cast came out with those actors back in the day, and then you have a cast come out now. Did anybody have these concerns of what we're talking about with
Nope.
certain groups coming out and saying, whatever, right? Did this wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
This is like a thing now, which for me tells me just how uh disingenuous it is and how it's like the same thing would apply then that would apply now if what you're saying is yes, there are going to be people who are going to be
Well,
attacking these kids over whatever.
I
And
I will
I,
say that there probably was a little bit, because the stories revolves around witchcraft. And so
okay,
there's a group
okay,
of people that would come after them for that, just like they came after Kevin Smith for Dogma and his anti-religious view, so to speak, of his portrayal in Dogma, which nobody even knew what the movie was about, and they were protesting it because Kevin Smith was making it and Disney was producing it. And then they moved it to Miramax, and guess what? The protests stopped because the people said, "Oh, it's not by Disney. Okay, we don't care."
okay.
And so the same thing kind of happened with this, if I remember correctly, that they went after the whole property, not necessarily the children in particular,
Okay.
but the whole property as being witchcraft and promoting witchcraft. And so it didn't go anywhere because they don't have much traction. But that was also a different time.
And that wouldn't go anywhere anyway because let's face it, like fucking witchcraft, get the fuck out of here. Okay,
Yeah,
like seriously,
yeah,
But what we're talking about modern day now is a whole different ballgame. And I just find it interesting because I look at it and go, you know, if we didn't have these groups come out years ago, then all of a sudden this new phenomenon now here we are with this, regardless of who's making it, but because we know about the writer and people have strong feelings about
yeah,
the author of the series, right?
yeah.
But did they have those feelings then, right? I don't know. Maybe no, maybe nobody knew. Maybe her
Well, no,
views weren't put out there at that time, right?
well, it wasn't really a thing. I
It
mean,
wasn't and that's what I'm trying to get at.
it wasn't a political point at
That's
that
what I'm
time in
trying to
history.
yes, that's what I'm trying to get at is that it wasn't because people didn't care about that.
Yeah,
And I think people still don't care about that
yeah.
except for
I
a
mean,
few,
to
you
be
know.
fair.
But nonetheless, yeah, the cast got announced. I mean, it's going to take years to film this thing. I mean, it's going to take years to film this thing, and I'm just curious if people are going to be able to stick with it. It could be the biggest franchise ever on was it on Max? I think it could be like the biggest thing to come out, and biggest TV show ever in the history of TV shows. But that's if they stay true to the books. Unfortunately, the casting has already kind
Yeah.
of messed that up.
Yep.
That's a shame. It
Yep.
is. So do you want to get into the Man of Steel, the sequel that was or could have been?
Could have been.
Do you
Yeah.
want to? Do you want
Some of you
to?
may have heard about this recently. That one of the people that were tapped to write a Man of Steel script has recently spoken out and said how interesting or how wonderful his Man of Steel 2 script would have been. And he hinted at a couple things that it would have portrayed. But I'll preface it with saying there were about a dozen Man of Steel 2 scripts that were running around at that time from different people. I mean, it went from Chris McTiernan. Before that, you had Goyer writing one. You had Abrams writing one after that. You had a laundry list of people that were making Man of Steel 2 scripts.
Yes.
Um, but they all had one theme in common. Every one of them said the word hopeful. That they were a more hopeful, inspiring version of Superman than what was portrayed in Man of Steel, because that was one of the biggest backlashes on it. But yeah, so he made some comments recently, and that script has been floated around. You can probably find it in the dark web or Reddit or something like that, at least parts of it, and what it entailed, and how you can see how it's still a part of the framework in James Gunn's version.
So got a couple videos. I didn't know which one you maybe wanted to watch first or look in on. I have the sit down interview with McQuarrie, and then I have the one that's at about 7 minutes and 27 seconds of a video that kind of gets into the gist of McQuarrie and the timeline
Yeah,
of what was
yeah,
supposed to happen.
yeah,
If
and
you
I like Henry Cavill's one that he did on the Mission Impossible set. The conversation he had there about it too. So
so right about here
yeah,
is talking about McQuarrie. So let me pull it up, and we'll just kind of check out a little bit of this about what could have been, right? About uh, Cavill continuing on
now
with
this video is from like a couple years ago,
yeah, oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. This is not new news,
yeah,
right? Like but I
no,
think it's kind of making the rounds, and I think
it's
that happens a
resurfaced.
lot of times with
Yep,
stuff. Is that people kind of all of a sudden somebody watches something that they didn't pay attention to, it gains
yeah.
traction, right? Uh,
For McQuarrie, who had just worked with Henry Cavill on Mission Impossible Fallout, would team up with the actor to pitch their take on a brighter, more fun Man of Steel 2.
And not just like the chocolate box sort of, saving kittens and stuff. A little bit of that, absolutely, but also the badass version of Superman. Superman who you see his raw power, not necessarily unleashed in a negative way, but you see it in the protection of other people.
But Warner Brothers chose not to pursue the idea. Ironically, and what would become a sign of things to come, later that year when Warner Brothers was courting James Gunn, the filmmaker behind Guardians of the Galaxy, the studio offered him the chance to write and direct Man of Steel 2, but he chose to reboot the Suicide Squad instead. While the studio negotiated with Cavill to reprise his role for a brief cameo in Shazam, contract talks between the two sides broke down, which is why we never see Superman's face in the film, which frankly was embarrassing for DC, considering all the cameos of Marvel characters between each of their films. Unable to come to agreement with Cavill, and with Warner Brothers recognizing that none of Cavill's films performed up to expectations at the box office, they considered hitting the reset button on both Superman and the DC universe.
so
Yeah.
I find it interesting because it really was like, and number one, did you notice how James Gunn looks then and what James Gunn looks like now?
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Did anybody
Yep.
notice that?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
But I think this whole thing could have gone so differently,
Yeah.
right? It could have gone so differently for Warner and with the Justice League and with the Superman movies had they just chose to go in a little bit another direction.
Yeah.
And the Suicide Squad. I mean, whatever you think about the second movie, I mean, the first movie was trash. Uh,
Because it was edited by a music video trailer company, edited the entire movie. So that's
yes,
why you had 3 music videos to start the movie, and it was so bad.
I mean the second one I thought had moments. It was funny,
I
but
actually prefer the second one in a lot of ways, but they never should have killed Flag. So
yeah, no. And then you obviously have Peacemaker, new series coming out, and they're gonna get into the multiverse, and that's gonna get
yep,
fucking messy because guess who's in the new Superman movie,
yep,
right? Peacemaker makes an
yep,
appearance.
yep.
I
I
I'll
I
be honest
like
with you, Matthew.
Henry Cavill's.
Well, I'll say this, and then I'll trail off. I liked Cavill's portrayal as Superman. I
Yeah,
like Henry Cavill.
yeah.
You know, his acting range. I don't know how great that range is. That's one of the biggest criticisms I hear. But I liked his portrayal. You know, I just don't know if anything could have really done anything to kind of save that universe that Snyder had worked on and had really put the time in. I
Now,
just don't know if anything really could have you know, helped
I
with that.
so I told you before. We went live. What my wife and I did this past weekend. Okay, so we watched Man of Steel, BVS, the extended version, and Wonder Woman, and then Justice League, the Snyder cut. I will say that there is a lot of good in all those movies. There's a few bad things that take you out of it. I just think if there was a little more focus and there was some fucking color in the film,
Yeah. Yeah.
you tone down that black saturation and you bring out some colors a little bit more, that it could have been interesting. If you had made Paul Kent a likable character, somebody who wasn't a fucking moron, it would have been better. If in Man of Steel, killing Zod, we can go back and forth on that all day. It could be a story point and they could do something with it, but they didn't.
Right.
Then you kill off Superman, and then they have to go through this weird convoluted plot to resurrect him. And you know, the Snyderverse, I think Snyder got in his own way, like you said earlier tonight. He got in his own way a bit with it, but at the same time, there was a cohesive story that he had in mind. Green Lantern was supposed to be in Justice League. And then even in the Snyder cut, they changed it to Martian Manhunter. Okay, but they still showed a Green Lantern in that version of the movie. Um, he wanted to expand the world, and he was doing it in a specific way, and it didn't lend itself to the sequel films. And that was the problem: is that they were trying to play catch up so hard that they blew the chance of creating a connected universe. And Marvel blew the connected universe after Endgame because they said, okay, now everything has to connect. It's like, no. Okay, after a big penultimate event, you have to start over. You have to start ground level superhero. You have to start with, who is this as a character? Who are they as a being? And build them up and give them a reason to join this other group of beings. Right? You make 5 separate films of 5 different
Yeah.
beings, and then you bring them together, and it's like, okay, this is great. That's what the Marvel formula was that worked under Favreau, even before Feige kind of had much to do with it. And DC never had that because they were trying to play catch up too much. And they're still trying to play catch up. And James
Yeah,
Gunn
still.
is not gonna to do it with making a whole bunch of movies that nobody gives a flip about, and TV shows
Well,
that nobody gives a flip about.
you're right. Now that's the thing, right? You have to select your properties. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to select what you're going to do carefully. Now,
Yes.
look, don't get me wrong. I'm not in that hot seat. I'm not making these decisions. But
Yeah.
when you start out with like, your animated stuff, um, you're going to do Batman, Brave and the Bold, maybe. I think I've said it all along. I think that a lot of these plans hinge on the success of Superman. Period.
Okay.
You,
So Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
yeah,
Those
well,
movies have
yeah,
to
those
succeed.
are 100%.
I
But
mean, that's the DC Trinity. You have to make them succeed.
I think kicking it off in particular with this Superman movie, it has to generate some interest, whether
Yep.
that's in your parrot analytics shit or whether
Well,
that's just
we know
sheer numbers. Oh,
Parrot
I know,
Analytics
I
is
know.
shit. So
I agree, but my point being is that it has to generate the interest to push this forward to make it worth putting the money and investing it into.
yeah.
And I think James Gunn's got an uphill battle, and they are playing catch up with the MCU. I think they'll always be playing catch up. Now, Mr. Magus, what's up, Mr. Magus says that Snyder Cut is the best thing that ever happened to the DC universe. I think for the Snyder fans, it was the best thing by far.
Well,
Um,
so it was proof of concept, right?
right.
It culminated with that movie, and it would have been nice if that was divided into halves and two-hour movies was released, and people got to see that and move forward with that universe. I think he could have done and would have done some very interesting and cool things with it, but it didn't work. And things happened in his life, and he couldn't. And Joss Whedon took over, and Joss Whedon took what he had built and crushed it up into a little ball and threw it away and changed it and pissed off a bunch of actors. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Ray Fisher's really going to act much after that because he made such a shitstorm over the Snyder cut that he's lost all connection in Hollywood. And anybody who supported him in that fashion kind of went the same way. Ben Affleck rehaps into alcoholism because of Joss Whedon and his antics, and he gained all that extra weight because he was done with Batman for a little while, so he was taking a break, and then he said, "Now you got to come back and play Batman," but now he's got to be Fat Man, and so it ruined his whole
Well, and you
portrayal
can
of Batman.
yeah,
And
you can see throughout those movies, not only with the hair pieces and the
yeah,
weight gain, and they definitely, I think there was some shit going on.
well, no, I mean there was stuff going on in the scenes, and you can see that Joss Whedon puts that ass shot of Wonder Woman, which okay, great, but why? When
Right.
they're jumping out of the thing and her ass jumps right in the camera, and then they go on or whatever. Joss Whedon did some things that I'm like, why? Why is that necessary?
Well, I mean,
And
it's Joss Whedon.
well, no, hey, I mean, Josh Whedon yelled at some people on set because he's a director and he wanted to get things done, and people are pissed at him, so they decided to cancel him.
I'm with you.
And maybe he has, I mean, maybe he
maybe that
supports women's charities because he's trying to cover some stuff up. Okay, maybe, but in the long run, he's an incredible writer. He's a damn good director, and most good directors are
he's
considered tyrants on the set.
he
So
and
they're gonna
he's
yell
been
at people.
he's been banished though. He's been banished
Well,
to
permanently
the
banished.
Netherlands.
Well, because everybody's so jealous of him, they don't want him coming back and usurping anything that they're trying to do. But Whedon speak is a terminology because no one but Whedon could do it. People tried and they called it Whedon speak because it failed because they don't know how to write like Joss.
Well,
And it
there's
sucks because his witty repartee was amazing.
there was a lot of animosity in there too. With I mean, obviously Snyder had family issues, but there's a lot of animosity in there with him having to come over and take over for that movie, and that was a lot
Yeah.
of fans are fans of Snyder and the extreme slow motion cuts that he likes to do, and we
Brutal.
wasn't about that life, but also yeah, there are lines in there that aren't they don't land. There's some comedic lines trying to be comedic that don't land. within that movie. I mean, it's everybody I think has the same complaints about, especially with Justice League.
Yeah.
But Viper Scout is in the house too. Says not a
What's up,
fan of
man?
Snyder, not a fan of Snyderverse in general, but the movies didn't fail because of the actors. Yeah, no, I can't argue with that. I thought the actors were fine.
Yeah.
I just think that ultimately, you have to look at the
Well, and as we've
the
seen
script and
since that first
the
Wonder Woman
plot.
movie, yeah, as we've seen since that first Wonder Woman movie was writing and directing at its peak in conjunction to make Gal look good because nothing else she's done has been really good.
Yeah, no, she's not a good actress. I'm sorry. She's
It's just
beautiful.
she's
She's
beautiful.
beautiful,
She's
but
beautiful.
she's not a good actress. Period.
And yeah,
War Chest like Man of Steel. Rest could have been cool if they gotten a Batman solo movie out of it. I think that's what everybody
you know what?
wanted.
And I was chomping at the bit because I know how much of a fan Ben Affleck is, and the fact that he almost had his chance to write and direct a Batman movie and star in a Batman movie. I need to see the universe where that movie happened because I so want to see that. I think that would have been amazing. I think people would have loved it. I think people would have said, "That's freaking Batman,"
Right.
because he looks like Batman. He looks like Bruce Wayne. He fits the character model. He worked hard for that, and then when they took it away from him, that sent him down further that spiral.
I
Right?
mean, I thought he was good. I enjoyed him. Is he the best one? I don't know. I mean, I toss up all the people who have played Batman, and there's good points and bad points about all of them
Oh yeah.
that I enjoy.
The writing hurt Affleck the most. I didn't like that he was killing everybody so flippantly.
Right.
But I mean, Keaton did the same thing. Keaton dropped a bomb in somebody's crotch and walked
Oh,
away. I mean,
right.
come on.
Now, Dreadnought, as far as like an evil Superman, you know, I could see like with Batman with Joker's busted out teeth and all that kind of stuff, right? I just don't know that I can, unless it's a mind controlled or some kind of story like that. For me,
Red
I
kryptonite,
don't.
baby.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Uh, I don't know that I want to see that Superman movie.
No, I don't, especially not first. I don't
Yeah,
want to see.
no,
And one
yeah.
of these
I'm with you.
interviews, Henry Cavill talks about it. There's so much he wants to do with Superman or wanted to do with Superman. I think he's moved on from that at this point.
Oh, for
But
sure. Yeah,
but he
100%.
loved Superman and being Superman so much. He's like, there's so many stories I want to tell. These character
Oh yeah.
perspectives, these dramas, these heroic things that he wanted to do with Superman. That I'm like, yes, this is exactly what everybody wants to hear because he was so invested in playing Superman that he would have done anything. He would
You
have
know,
taken no pay to play Superman in some of these movies because that's how much he wanted to be Superman on screen.
yeah, I'll tell you this though. I saw somebody make a comment uh, in the last couple of days on a Henry Cavill post, and it might even been a meme where it was like one of those circular memes where it's like gets really interested in a
Oh yeah.
character, wants to portray that character to the lore, then complains when the writing isn't about the lore, and then exits the TV show or
That's
movie
been his
because
thing.
of it. And right. And so you have to at least acknowledge that, right? And I hate that for him.
He
But
is the
it
biggest
really
Warhammer
is.
nerd that I mean, he is the biggest freaking nerd that there is.
Right.
Warhammer, Superman, The Witcher,
Highlander.
Highlander, Voltron. Yes.
Yes.
And he's working on the Voltron thing and
Right.
supposedly he's going to do Highlander. I don't think the Highlander, I don't know. I have
But
not had any faith in that Highlander project coming to fruition at all. I've
nothing's got
never,
off the ground
yeah.
except for Witcher. And of course, that got turned to shit by the awful showrunner and writers. But other than
I
that,
I want to
nothing
say
he's
the
had a part of
I
is turned
I,
out.
I want to say Voltron's been in production, but I'm not entirely sure about that.
Yeah, I'll need to take a look. But look, I like the guy. I mean,
Yeah.
we could wax about that forever. I just it's interesting. I hate it. I would have loved to at least seen him give it another go or two. And
I
then
would have
and they
loved to.
brought him back. They brought James Gunn. Brought him back. Brought him back. Made the announcement.
No,
Okay. No, they made the David
hold on.
Zaslav made the announcement before they brought James Gunn back. They made the announcement that Cavill was back. He went on and made that announcement as well on social media that he was coming back to play the part. And then Gunn comes in, and literally like 2 days later, it's like, well, sorry
Listen,
to inform you guys, but I've
okay.
been kicked to the curb.
So listen, this is something you got to understand about James Gunn. Okay. Clearly you've seen it recently. His ego is so massive, nobody else's
Yeah.
ego can even come close to his. If it's anywhere near the same planet as his, he will try and crush it. Okay. He wanted nothing to do with Cavill from the beginning. So he had tossed Cavill because he said, I need to start fresh. And he had already thrown all that away. So if he was in charge, that shit wasn't going to happen. Pattinson's Batman, the Batman, ain't going to fucking happen. Okay. Matt Reeves has some stuff going on in his personal life.
It's done.
And between that and James Gunn trying to destroy the Batman because it interferes with his movie making process and the stories that he wants to tell, he's going to crush the shit out of that. So we are 5 to 10 years away from the Batman sequel from ever happening. So
It's
it ain't
never
going to happen.
It's never gonna happen.
It ain't going to happen, folks.
Yeah.
You can hold out as much hope as you want and bring all this bullshit you want. It ain't going to fucking happen.
So let me hit up some of these chats real quick because I fall a little behind, but I definitely want to make sure that I keep up. But let's see here. Let me get to it. There it is, Mr. Magus. Do you think they should have went with the TV heroes? Example as Flash, Green Arrow, Supergirl. I think there's TV
No.
and I think there's movie, and I think you have to almost delineate the two in a way. You just it just is. Charlie Cox being kind of an exception, maybe as we move forward.
So I would say this about that comment in particular. Grant Gustin would have been an amazing choice to bring him over as the Flash.
Right.
I don't care about anybody else from the CW universe. You can, Melissa Benoist or whatever. Maybe as a good Supergirl, but Grant Gustin was the Flash, and bringing him into the movie side of things, I think would have been awesome. Alternate universe, whatever. He would have been so much better. I just despise Ezra Miller so much. I
I'm
can't
with
stand
you.
him.
Well, he makes it easy. Clint Jorgensen's in the house. What's up, Clint? Says Wonder Woman movie success was both a great and bad thing for this movie verse. They need to let this universe rest for about 5 years. Well, that definitely ain't gonna happen.
They can't. The corporate people can't let that happen. Unfortunately, because if they did, they would build FOMO and they would build anticipation, and it would happen.
Right. Giraffe, look, I'm not complaining about Wonder Woman's ass shot by any means.
I'm not either. Okay. I did enjoy that shot, but it was
never
Joss Whedon shot.
You'll never hear me complain about that. And you know what, Clint, I'm with you on the DC animated stuff. I love all of that animated stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I
mean, I say all of it. I mean, a majority of it, give or
vast
take.
Majority.
A couple things here or there, but most of it actually is very good in my
opinion.
opinion.
The Netflix continuation of Young Justice was not that great. Henry Cavill apparently wrapped production on the movie live action Voltron series from Amazon MGM Studios.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be speculated release in 2026. So that one is done. Is he going to move on to Highlander? I don't know. Like I said, I don't have much faith in that one. I haven't seen anything moving on that one. Nobody's talking about that one. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's the thing because everything's in motion still. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yep. Says Voltron in production. I'd heard about it. I know. I think I may have even brought it up on a stream one night, just glancing through.
We've talked about it.
But I mean, look, man, I love some Voltron. Take me back to my childhood. I'm all about it.
You know what? I mean, if Cavill's involved with it, and since he dropped The Rock's agent as his agent,
hmm
I think he's gotten a lot more control over the stuff he works on because The Rock was manipulating his agent to manipulate Cavill into doing a lot of different things, and and this is also a reason why Man of Steel 2 never happened is because The Rock was pushing for Black Adam and Superman, Henry Cavill,
Yes.
to be in a movie together
Yeah.
that never took place because the Black Adam movie bombed so bad that they're like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. If that movie had succeeded, there's a good chance that Henry Cavill would have come back as Superman for at least a Superman Black Adam movie, which I think would have been phenomenal.
Right.
And then James Gunn would have been painted into a big corner
Right.
as he came into it, and he would have had to make a decision about what he's going to do with Henry Cavill at that point.
Yeah, it's I just hate the fact that, I think a lot of fans were definitely on board with Cavill moving forward and just wasn't, just not able to catch that
Yeah, Mister.
finish line and the returns, on the investment didn't
Yeah,
match up. Those
it didn't.
movies didn't make what they thought they were going to make, and
Yep.
that's ultimately the killer of any franchise is whether
Yep.
or not it makes money. I mean, that's
Mr.
totally fair.
Madgas, that question that you had, yes, The Rock was fighting for Henry Cavill to come back in because at the time they had the same agent, which was
Yes.
a former partner of The Rock's, I believe, or something like that. Anyway, and there was a tight relationship there, and then after that project fell through, is when Cavill said, "I'm done with this agent because this agent hasn't been fighting for me; he's been fighting for The Rock more than me." And decided to go a different route. And that's when he picked up Warhammer. That's when he picked up Highlander. That's when he picked up Voltron. So he started getting things that he wanted to make and have control over. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens moving forward. If he has control over these things as much as we would hope that he would, then I think they will be really good because he's such a nerd. He doesn't want them to fail and he wants to be true to why he loves these things. So
So
we'll see.
so I'm curious. If anybody in the chat has been watching and keeping up with The Last of Us season 2, because this show has fallen so far. If
Who could
and
have predicted this? Who
uh,
could have predicted this? How
okay,
about
now
everyone could have
yes,
predicted this?
so it's sitting at an audience score of 38%. Now, first and foremost, I want to say this. I don't look at Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb or whatever aggregate score, Metacritic, as the end all be all when it comes to judging shows or judging a video game or judging whatever. You have to see it for yourself, play it for yourself, experience it for yourself. So, in that respect, there are things I like, I know, that don't have a high Metacritic score. Games that I like that don't have a high Metacritic score. Shows that I like that don't have a high Rotten Tomatoes score. But most of the ones I like, for the most part, are right about in line with where everybody else sits on a show. So GI Jetman, here's the deal with it. And look, by all means, and I did star your comment from earlier about your video, and I'm gonna let you know about that here in a minute. So look, if you want to binge it, by all means, there is some good things within season 1.
Yeah.
There are some things that are questionable, as with any show. But if you know anything about the history of the games, then they stay very true to the second game in this season. And that's what a lot of fans were scared about. A lot of fans were scared that they were going to stay true to the second game. And as soon as they stayed true to a certain plot point, people were going to jump off of the show
Yeah. Look.
as fast as possible. And it did. It has happened.
Yep.
They also have decided to interject. Look, number one, casting
Yeah.
was bad. Now, Pedro Pascal
He's fine.
he's a good he's a good actor. Now his shit that he does in his personal life, he's a good actor. But so the other shit, whatever, he does what he does. He's a good actor. He is not the Joel from the games, but he is a version of Joel that you could get behind. The problem starts with Bella Ramsey and her portrayal of Ellie, and it started in season 1. It's continued to season 2. They have added in current day politics into the show, even though it was also included into the game. I would dare say that in a post-apocalyptic world, you can take all of your hormone therapy and throw it out the window. You can take all of any of your current day gender politicking and throw it out the window, because survival of the fittest is what it's all about. So season 2, the reason it's got a 38% audience score is because as soon as Joel decides to not be, in the show anymore through reasons of his own or not, that is the strongest character in the show. And after that, you really have nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I will say that the first game had a lot of love and a lot of praise.
Oh my God, the first game is fantastic.
And it has nothing to do with Neil Druckmann. If you go back and look at who the original creators and writers and storytellers in that game were, it wasn't Neil.
Right.
Neil took over for the second game. And Neil decided to put his own agenda moving forward in that game. And in doing so, he ruined the fucking game. And because people were so pissed at that, people knew what was going to happen in the second season. And so when that thing happened in the second season, people who had never played the games checked out of the show. They said, oh, fuck, I invested all this time and now it's gone. What do? I don't give a fuck about the rest of these people. They're idiots or morons, or I don't care about their storyline. And they dropped the show. And you can see it here in the ratings. The ratings happened exactly like the video game. As soon as that happened to the video game, people started lambasting it, trashing it, dumping it, deleting it, asking for their money back. And the same thing happened here with the TV show, because they followed the storyline the way Druckmann wrote it. Tuckman, whatever you want to call it.
The thing of it is, it's not that you can't. So I want to make sure that I preface this. It's not that you can't write whatever, like. That you want to write for a video game or a show, whatever.
Right.
It's your script. You do what you want.
Yep.
However, at the same time, you have to be extremely aware of choices you make with your script and with your story. They're going to affect how people view the story. And even though as a writer, you may want to convey that your overall message is that, revenge is a vicious cycle that continues over and over and over again, which is what the message was. Yeah. It's that when you make certain choices with your characters, there are going to be repercussions.
Yes. And you have to stay consistent with the universe. You have to stay consistent with what's going on around you. Otherwise, people are taken out of it because it doesn't make any sense.
And everybody's comments here too. Look, so I'm going to start with G.I. Jetman and say, hey, I was going to binge watch it. You guys said it sucked. Again, look, I'm going to give you my opinion. I come correct. I come strong. Some people don't like that. That's fine. But
I think you would enjoy the first season. I don't
yes,
know that
I agree. I agree. And I will always say, by all means, please make your own choices. And then if you want to come in and say, hey man, what you said about this or that, I didn't really agree with that. I love that. I want that. That's what I want, because maybe you'll change my mind about something. But rolling down this list, Dreadnought K6, except for Abby's casting. Now, Abby's casting
was terrible.
Unfortunately,
doesn't match.
The girl who plays Abby in the show, Caitlin Devers, would have been better casted as Ellie. Yeah. Because she is perfect. And then Mr. Magus is right. After I heard they killed Pascal off, I was pretty much done. Graf says the adult Gerber baby was a horrible choice as a lead. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you, G.I. Jetman. She is a good actress, and she is actually doing a good job in the role she's given. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate that they cast Bella Ramsey,
Yep.
who has the range of my arm as an actress.
Yeah, and I hear that Dreadnought K6, the Bella Ramsey for Goonies 2, Sloth's daughter.
Oh Jesus! Holy no! Cher. What's the Mask movie with Cher?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit! Look,
Mask. Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's called Mask. Yeah. No. It's just. It's the thing of it is that we can. Yeah. Right. 3-star. Holy moly. We can joke about it. I will joke about it. But the bottom line is that it was a poor casting choice to cast her. In my opinion, star had dimmed already since Game of Thrones, especially the final season. And so what was this choice based off of? Well, I can tell you because she identifies as a non-binary actress. And I believe that probably factored into the decision to cast her in the role, as this seems to often do with a lot of directors and showrunners, and for movies and TV, is that they cast based off of gender, off of non-conforming identities and things of that nature. And now I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm just saying. Bobby Wool's in the house. He says there's only one episode in this season I like, and it was the episode to show how Ellie and Joel grew apart. Other than that, it's all drama that they can cut the fat on. And that's one thing.
Yeah.
I will say this. Bobby, I agree with you 100%. Is that there is way too many scenes in season 2 of Ellie and Dina riding on horseback, making jokes with each other,
Right.
being ha ha ha. There's too many scenes of Ellie yelling and screaming and trying to act like she's this crazed person, but it's got way too much fluff. There's way too much filler, and I just can't buy the love story between these two because
It
I'm
doesn't
sorry,
make sense. It
the
just
girl who
doesn't.
plays Dina, there's no way in living hell that this love story would happen.
Yeah.
And
I don't. I agree.
it's
I mean,
just
doesn't
it's
make
unbelievable.
sense.
You watch it and you just go, okay, yeah, I can't buy this.
No.
Like I just can't buy this.
3-star. I liked her in Game of Thrones before season 7 and 8. I mean, season 7 and 8 were such trash. They ruined her character too.
Yeah, actually they did. Look, man, hurt when she gets picked up by the giant.
Yeah. No, I mean,
in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Oh
no.
shit. Oh
yeah,
my god.
whatever.
Giraffe, I'm with you here. I get it, and I know what you're saying, and in a way, I get it. I totally do. Yeah, it's just a shame. Wanted this show to go differently from the game is because they wanted a reason to tune into it for longer.
Yep.
And you gave them
they wanted to
every
make-
reason to cut out after like 2 episodes of season 2.
And they wanted to make Game 2 3 seasons.
Yes. So season 3 is going to be Abby's story.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. So just know that after this season, if you watch it, great. And if you like it, great. But just know that season 3 is going to be Abby's story. So there's no definitive end here with season 2. Really, we're just going to transfer the story over to Abby.
Did you play the second game?
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
So after that incident, aren't you playing Abby?
They force you to play as Abby. So in their mind, what they're trying to do, they're trying to force you emotionally into feeling sad for a character that you literally just hated.
Yep.
And they're trying to then get you to understand her plight and you become sympathetic. But the only thing you want to do is throw the fucking controller down on the ground because you're like, I don't want to play as this fucking character. You just destroyed the character that I loved, that I
Right.
wanted to play as the whole second game.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and in the show, it's the same thing. People are checking out. That's why it's an under 40% Rotten Tomato score. And of course, you'll hear all the same old people come out of the woodwork and tell you, oh, it's because it's a lesbian relationship. Oh, it's because Bella
No.
Ramsey's a non-binary actress. Oh, by the way, the girl who plays Dina, yeah, she's also LGBTQ. So great,
Whatever.
right? Like here
I
we
mean,
go, right? But you're
doesn't
gonna
matter.
hear, but you'll hear that, right?
Yeah.
But I think really what I'm understanding and what I appreciate is the biggest noise is the fact that everybody hates the fact that they off Joel, and
Yeah.
they're pissed and they don't want to watch it anymore. It has nothing to do with the gender or the sexual identity of the characters. It has everything to do with the fact that you fucked it up.
Yeah, messed it
You
up.
fucked it up.
Yep.
So anyway, so yeah, if you guys look, if you watch it, you like it, let me know.
Yep.
Let us know for sure. I definitely want to hear some some interesting takes. Definitely. Um, let's see here. 3-star. Hey, at least Last of Us isn't ruined by narration from a horrible, fake, melodramatic Tennessee accent. Well, I can't argue with that. Lots of shows are ruined by a fake Southern accent. Okay. Bobby Wold. Yeah. Ellie. I'm gonna be a dad.
No.
Yeah, I saved that.
Yeah.
I had that. I played it during a stream. I saved it.
Dumbest shit ever. Dumbest shit ever. Mr. Madguess, no, we haven't gotten to that yet. We're about to.
What's the comment? I happen to be looking at something else. No, we are absolutely getting ready to get into that actually about right now. Unless there's anything else that you'd like to go over.
I'm good, man. Let's hit it. Let's get her done.
Yeah, baby, let's get her done. Okay. I didn't make a banner for this one. I haven't really been making banners lately because we hit topics so quick and I got, so many things to share and do. I'm like, you know what? People are listening, maybe watching. I don't know why they want to watch this ugly mug. But so I'm not propping up a big old banner. We're just going to get into it like we do. So let me go ahead and pull up this. I want to play, if you're okay with it, quickly. I do want to show Tom Cruise's post, and I want to play Tom Cruise's video. Is that cool with you?
that TikTok video is awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you're okay with that, because I
Yep.
know we are running on the back side
No,
of things.
we're good. I'm good.
But I want to share this post from Tom Cruise, you guys. So this will kind of preface us getting into our Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. But this was a message from Tom Cruise. This weekend was one for the history books. Congratulations and thank you to every filmmaker, every artist, every crew member, and every single person who works at the studios, to every theater and every employee who helps bring those stories to audiences. Thank you to everyone who works at Paramount Pictures and Skydance. Thank you for your many years of partnership and unwavering support. And most of all, thank you in exclamation in capitals, all caps rather, to audiences everywhere for whom we all serve and for whom we love in all caps to entertain. Sincerely, Tom. Now,
I know you guys probably heard about this, but Tom Cruise came to Texas, and he came to Dallas for 2 days, and then he went to San Antonio for 2 days.
He ate popcorn,
he
hanging
ate
out
popcorn.
with employees.
And he hung out at the movie theaters talking to people, and he went to my favorite barbecue place in all of Dallas called Pecan Lodge, and had a great time there with the owner and all that stuff. So he's posting pictures of all that stuff, interacting with human beings, promoting his movie on Memorial Day weekend with the fans here in Texas. It made an impact.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Not just on him, but on the box office and how people view him. The statement that he made right there, the statement that he made before the movie, shows how truly grateful he is for the life that he's living and how he wants to share this with everyone else. I mean, he is the last great movie star.
Yeah, it seems that way. And I've had that conversation multiple times here recently. And I mean multiple times, dude. Like,
Yep.
I really have. I have talked to a lot of people here recently about that because I wanted to know. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? Do you think that what movie stars do you know coming up that you're super interested in? And they started, everybody I've talked to started rambling off names, and guess what? They're all over 60 years old,
Yep.
and it's just a fact.
And, I mean, honestly, if you look at somebody who has true acting talent and has the potential to be a wonderful movie star, Timothy Chalamet is probably at the top of that list. But other than that,
That's the one name that kept coming up.
I don't see any other younger people
Right.
that are really willing to do that. I mean, you've got Henry Cavill, but he's getting older too. But
yeah, oh yeah. Unfortunately, he's aging out of a lot of roles. To an extent, I can say that about Cruise, but maybe not. So I'll play this video real quick. This is for Memorial Day tribute from Tom Cruise again. Just to give you an idea.
For 250 years, when their country is called, the men and women of the United States military have answered. It began in 1775, June 14th. As American militiamen besieged the British in Boston, Congress ordered the creation of a new army, Continental Army, the birth of the United States Army. 4 months later, October 13th, the Navy was born, and November 10th, the United States Marine Corps. Declaring independence, Congress pledged their lives, fortunes, and their sacred honor. And through the Revolution, and generations since, American service members have lived out that pledge, and they have sacrificed. 80 years ago, World War II, more than 400,000 lost to war, 36,000 in Korea, 58,000 in Vietnam, and 7,500 fallen in operations since. Memorial Day is their day, the United States military's most sacred day. At the National Memorial Day Parade along Constitution Avenue, and at parades and ceremonies around the country, we honor those who gave their last full measure of devotion. And as we commemorate the 250th birthday of the United States military, to all who have served, to all who have sacrificed, we offer you our lasting gratitude and our pledge to always remember.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, now that's a statement of somebody who loves this country. He loves what he does. He is grateful for where he is. He is grateful for the fans. He's grateful for the military service. He's grateful for the people he's worked with. He's worked with so many U.S. service members. It's not even funny. You think about all the movies that he's done and the training that he's gone through and the experts that he's had to talk to about the actual physical capabilities of a human being to do these things. He has researched these things to know if it's even possible and how he would go about doing it. And he tries to do it himself. And he knows what his limitations are at this point. Maybe, I don't know. He keeps breaking himself, so who knows? But I mean, this is a guy who's invested in this whole process.
100%. And look, he's done some messages like that before. I mean, before Top Gun Maverick, obviously he came out. It was really cool to have that play before the movie. I thought was really cool. And what is going on, Rachel? Hey. It started with Taps, the only movie where he played a villain. So yeah, I appreciate it. Look, Scientology stuff, all that shit, whatever, man. I don't really care. He doesn't bring that into his movies. He doesn't push that shit on people. It's not something that like he forces down people's throats like other ideologies you and I could probably talk about. They get forced down people's throats every day. Yeah. And he doesn't talk about it when he's on the red carpet like other actors talk about their ideologies. So I don't care.
I love the fact that in his interviews, they asked him politically charged questions, and he said, "I'm here to talk about my movie," and moved on.
No, exactly. That just recently happened. 100%. Yes, 100%. He's like, I'm here to talk about my movie because he knows he's not fucking stupid. Yeah. And that's the thing when you talk about before we get into this review, the last great, actors and movie stars, and you talk about that, is because he knows what's up.
Yes.
You don't get into that shit because you alienate people. And the last thing somebody wants, he doesn't want to alienate anybody. You want everyone to come see your movie. So when you get rid of 50% of your audience right off the top because you're a fucking nut job, or you decide to bring your shit into the movie, then yes, you alienate people immediately. And they say, guess what? I'll never watch this movie.
Yep.
Ever. And that's the one thing I'll say. He doesn't do that, right? Yep. And look, Denzel, 100%. You started this comment earlier, Michael B. Jordan. It's been said.
I haven't seen him have much range. I've seen him in a bunch of things. I haven't seen him have much range. So I don't know that I would call him much of an actor or a Hollywood star.
I need to see Sinners. I need to see Sinners because he plays twins in that movie. And I need to see the range of that because he plays twins. I want to see that. Now, if you're judging it off of, Apollo Creed movies or the Creed movies and stuff, that's too easy. What kind of range can you really have in that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't seem to have the gravitas of a Denzel Washington. He doesn't, or some other people I could name.
And Fruitvale, right? You know what I mean? Definitely. And right here, Born on the 4th of July. Lots of good movies. Yeah, no, there's too many to name for Tom Cruise, right? 100%. So let's go ahead. And bring it up. I'm just gonna bring up just kind of our little Google screen here for just to have something on the screen.
There we go.
All right. So, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first? You tell me.
Go for it, dude.
All right, I'll go for it. Okay. So, as much as we've been talking in the last few minutes about Tom Cruise, and look, I love what he's doing. I love the dedication. I love the fact that he is trying to keep people working, a lot of the below the line workers, which is your non-camera people, right? You're talking about your people who hold microphones, build sets, your grips, everything, right? They're the people that really go unmentioned when it comes to movies. Those people are your working class in Hollywood. So he's very invested in trying to do that. So here's the deal. I watched the previous movie, the one prior to this. In the one thing I can say about all of these movies is that they have very distinctive and very memorable action set pieces. And for that, I really do appreciate this. I appreciate him doing the stunts. I appreciate the levels he'll go through for the authenticity of the craft, which is unheard of in today's world of acting. I found this movie to be on the edge of my seat. Okay, I was on the edge of my seat. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen next. It strings you along. It brings you along. It is exciting in a lot of parts. Again, it has those action set pieces. Now, I'm not going to sit here and spoil the shit out of the movie if you haven't seen it. I don't want to just get, to necessarily do that. I know a 3-star said spoil the shit out of it, but maybe not everybody feels that way. I think the plot is extremely convoluted. I think I think that AI being a main antagonist of the movie ultimately drags it down, because all of these Mission Impossible movies have had, generally speaking, good bad guys, physical bad guys. And the one physical bad guy, Gabriel, from the prior movie, Dead Reckoning, is barely in this film. and he's turned into a mustachioed, twirling villain. Haha, catch me if you can. Like it's, and he even says that line in the plane. Um, so I hated that. I hated that because I thought, this is the final movie. We need that final villain. And I think AI is such a letdown. I think it's a trope. I think, unfortunately, moving forward, it's going to get used more and more often than it already has. Um, I thought Cruise was good. However, when I said that a lot of the plot was nonsensical, it's because he keeps being told he's the only person who can do this, but then at the same time he's like not he's you know not the right guy, or he's a bad guy. Like, you we need to kill you, but I can't kill you because I need you to use this key. But then you find out later in the movie that someone else has a key. Another team of people have a key. And then I found some of the look, hey, Atwell, God love her. God love her. Beautiful woman. A tank top in Antarctica does not work, man. Like, and one of the better stunts in the well, I say stunts in the movie, the submarine scene, he's specifically told what he can't do or he'll die, but then he literally does what he is not supposed to do, and he doesn't die. So, and then, there's a lot of plot contrivances, okay? And so we have Ving Rhames' character. For some reason, he's being attended to as if he's a cancer patient, but we're really never told why he's hooked up to a bed. I don't recall exactly why that is, but then all of a sudden everybody has a nuclear bomb they're just able to drop off at a moment's notice. Two of them in this movie. So there are some plot contrivances. There's some stuff I didn't understand. I really went back and tried to figure it out, but the Madam President stuff, there's some really contrived stuff there as well. Then there's a scene with someone who's supposed to be the son of a villain from a prior movie that really didn't land for me. It was kind of odd. And so AI being the biggest miss of the movie. But this is what I will say. After all of that, it sounds like I'm shitting on the movie. I know it does. But I want to tell you, I watched that movie from beginning to end, and it's 3 hours, folks. It's 3 hours. I watched it from beginning to end, and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. There wasn't any moment where I was like, man, I gotta do something else other than I was on board and I was entertained. So even though I thought there was a lot of their, stuff that didn't land for me, I was entertained. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good finish up, but I wish that we had more meat on that bone. That's just me after having watched all of these movies over the years. A lot of flashbacks, a lot of fan service too. A lot of fan service. I know there's a lot of comments. I know Mr. Magus is probably ready to hit me over the head. But I did enjoy it. I just there was a lot there that I had to really suspend and couldn't understand. So it's a lot of convoluted stuff. What about you, Matthew? It is 3 hours long, by the way, folks.
3 hours.
Yes, it is 3 hours long. So,
All
and
right.
it at times felt like it. But what about you? I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you roll with it. And I'm going to look through the chat.
All right, so here we go. All right. My wife and I went to go see this. We dropped my daughter off at Nana and Pop's, and she hung out there. My wife and I went to go see this. I grabbed a pizza and, spent way too much money on that and sit down and watch this movie. And we watch these trailers and we start getting excited about some movies coming up, and the movie starts and we get an hour of exposition.
Yes.
And then we get
Yes.
we get a little bit of story, and then we get the last hour of the movie is full on adrenaline filled action. And I will tell you honestly, even with the exposition, I loved it.
It was fun.
It was engaging. There's some suspension of disbelief with the female special services diver. You got female Secret Service agents doing this. The female president was already established. She was a CIA director, and she became president in the last movie. So all these things were already in place. So anybody bitching about that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, because she was already a character in the movie, and we knew who she was. How she worked through everything, I thought was really interesting. I actually liked her parts of the movie and how she was manipulating and controlling her inner circle. Some of the stuff that you complained about, hey, he was told he couldn't do this, whatever, but they never planned for having that special suit. They never planned for any of that. They planned for him dying and being pulled out of the ice, put in a hyperbaric chamber, and revived.
A special hyperbaric chamber that's experimental, never been used before.
Whatever.
It's fine. It's fine. I didn't care.
So they established also that the chemicals that he was breathing was going to make the hyperbaric chamber work better. Right. It wasn't necessarily a special hyperbaric chamber, other than it was inflatable or whatever. And her being in a tank top, she had to strip down to get in that ice to pull him out of the ice. So that's why she was in the tank top. And they were in the hyperbaric chamber when you saw that happen in the Arctic. So she wasn't exposed in the Arctic wearing a tank top that we ever saw. So some of the points that you're struggling with were already explained away earlier in the film. And so you can rationalize that. But at the same time, if this is a Mission Impossible movie, it's Mission Impossible. Right?
Yeah.
This is a 60-year-old guy running around doing this shit, right? I loved all of the characters that they pulled in. I love the fact that I didn't have to go back and rewatch every fucking movie before going to see this, because they put enough stuff in there that lets you know, oh yeah, this happened there. Oh yeah, that happened there. Okay, whatever. And they threw that in there, and I thought it was interesting. I could have done without the Jim Phelps son thing.
Yeah.
That's whatever. But it made a stressful relationship happen. I loved the guy from the first movie being in this. The computer programmer, database guy who was kicked out of Langley and whatever, because he was the guy that was there in the very first movie. They brought him back in this. I thought that was freaking awesome. I loved the Russian sub combat thing that was going on there. I liked the characters that they had in there. The female diver, special ops diver, whatever. Okay, I can deal with that. The female Secret Service agent. Okay, this starts becoming noticeable when you keep having all these special service female operators doing the badass shit or not being the people that crack. Okay, that's whatever. The president has the female advisor who's super influential in her and who she trusts more than all these other guys. I don't see that happening in a real situation. Women don't like each other that much. But whatever. Okay. I love the moment when the president comes out of the plane and all the soldiers step back and there's one soldier standing there. She's like, what the hell? And then she realizes, oh, that's my son. Right?
Yeah.
I fully believe that the city that she was going to destroy was the one that her son was in.
Okay, now that's okay. I have a problem with that, because they see this. We're gonna get into like the spoiler part of it, because it was so dumb that they were gonna just sacrifice an American city for no reason. To look good? Like, that was stupid.
Yeah,
I was like, this. Why would you do that just to save face? Because of the other city, to prove what? To prove If you see the movie, folks, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
They said it was a gesture of good faith.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So what do you tell those people in that city then?
Yeah. No, it doesn't make any sense.
And
her decision was the only decision to be made, in my opinion. But
yeah, I mean, but I I don't know that part. But one thing I will say, they do try to act like something that happened in an earlier movie relates to what's happening in to the AI, and I think that's really reaching.
yeah,
And it's a very memorable scene from this franchise that they work into. Well, actually, no, what you were taking out was this and not what you thought it was. And I thought that was really like trying to stretch it out to something that, working in something from a prior movie that was happened 20 something years ago.
Yeah, I mean, they retconned a little bit, and you know what? But I mean, it's a fun movie. Go see it. It's enjoyable.
It's fun. It's fun.
Entertaining. It's a fast 3 hours. You're going to make it through there, and you're not going to want to leave that theater because like I said, the last hour is adrenaline filled nonstop. And whether it makes sense or not, it doesn't matter. It's fun. It's a Mission Impossible movie. These things didn't make sense. If you watch that show back in the day, it didn't make sense then either. It was just fun to see how these people come up with solutions to get out of this problem. It was not exactly MacGyver, which was a little bit better, but
you know what, Matthew? I mean, at the very least, like, for me, it's like whatever Tom Cruise's next movie is, like, I'll go see it just because. Right. Like I'll go see it just because, like, the dedication to get this done, to get the other movies, done. For me, like, look, we've been watching this dude our whole lives, right? We've been watching this dude in so many movies our whole lives, and he's had a lot of bangers. There's been some here or there, and the whole shit with Nicole Kidman and his marriage to her, and weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just saying, like, yes,
it's probably his low point, right?
Yeah, the Oprah Winfrey and jumping on the couch and all that shit. But what I will say is that I do agree with you. Is that yes, it is worth going to see. It is fun. It does end. The last. It is long, but it has enough good fun scenes in it that it keeps your attention.
Yeah.
And it is entertaining. I mean, ultimately, it is entertaining. So yes, as much as there's pieces I can pick out because that's just how my brain works. At the end of the day, yeah, I'm with you. Like, I had fun. It was fun and it was entertaining. I said that when I was in my review. It was on the edge of your seat. You're going along. Now, the exposition, there's a lot of exposition.
A lot. I mean,
but that's okay. It makes up for it.
If you haven't just watched the previous 7 movies, if it's been more than a year since you've watched the previous 7 movies, exposition works just fine.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine.
Movies, the first hour is a slog.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, it takes a little bit to get into. That's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
But once they get moving, once was it Luther, right? Luther, Ving Rhames' character, and his name Luther, is that right?
Yeah.
Once that kind of starts going, and that choice is made, then that's where it really kicks in, and the rest of it really is a ride. But up to that point, it does take a minute to get into. But yeah.
Have you ever flown a biplane? Biplanes. Biplanes are the easiest aircraft to ever fly, and they're so simple. And yeah, they are fucking analog as shit. And they're made of canvas and balsa wood, basically, right? I mean, the shits can fall apart, by sneezing on it funny. And it's crazy to think that we went to war in World War II.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I'm with you.
Stuff happen on biplanes. goes back to Buster Keaton. It goes back to Charlie Chaplin. It goes back to the old days of filmmaking, the early days of filmmaking, and the barnstormers of the day. I thought it was a brilliant homage to old school cinema. I thought it was a brilliant homage to flight in general, because
Sure.
they're fucking amazing to fly. They're so, I mean, if you've ever flown a plane, it's amazing to sit in a biplane and fly a biplane versus any other type of plane that's out there, because of how easy it is to fly.
I will say though, I thought it was pretty damn cheesy the way Gabriel meets his fate. I thought that was super goofy. And with his wig getting split. 3-star, I'll see you tomorrow night on Seven's Wild. Of course, I'll be there with you on your channel for Down South Boys Talking Toys. We got some stuff to
I
talk
almost
about.
wonder if he had parachuted and gotten away, but you know
You
what?
know, whatever. It was like, well, anyway, whatever. I thought that was goofy. But yeah, Garaf, I'm with you. Commercials and movies now, it's not even that it's previews. It's now you get a Honda commercial and you get a Coca-Cola commercial and then you get another, an Apple commercial and it's like fucking 35 minutes worth of shit.
Seller thing out there too, so you can get your special discounts at the movie theater every time too. You got to have that.
Yeah, it definitely wears me, it wears me out every time I go. War Chest saying that it's the best movie I've seen in a while. Next on my list is Nobody 2. I can fully understand that. Mr. Magus,
Nobody too.
what's that?
Totally want to see Nobody too.
Yeah, for sure. Mr. Magus having to watch it alone. You're never alone, Mr. Magus. You know you've got Jesus. Let's not wait. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I'm so stupid. Oh, Mr. Magus, I feel you there. Definitely. He only takes straight planes, no biplanes for him. And I get that. I understand that. I understand that totally.
Well, P-51 used in Top Gun Maverick, right? Because that P-51 plane. I'm just
Giraffe, yes, I think that Gabriel would have made a great telenovela bad guy. He probably has in his career. Let's not kid ourselves. But but yeah, it's a fun movie ultimately, and it is. I kind of equate it. Some people say, "Oh, it's a popcorn action flick." Just separate turn your brain off. It's hard to turn your brain off, right? I think we've. I think years ago that may have been an easier thing, but I think in today's world, our brains are multitasking. We're always working overtime. We're always over and analyzing. And years ago, decades ago, when things I think were a lot simpler, we could do that. We could turn our brain off and enjoy a movie that had somewhat shoddy VFX or practical effects. But you could get past those. Things like that. And nowadays, I think it's just so difficult for us to turn our brains off. And you're right, Johnny Reno. Some people have never turned brain on. Yes, sir. But anyway, so yeah, end of the day, look, I'm not gonna give the movie an 8 out of 10 or nothing like that. I'll give it I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Something like that. I don't really usually do ratings like that, so I'm not used to that.
If you're going to force me to give it a rating, I'm going to give it an 8.5. All right.
Okay. You're a little higher on it than I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's way better than the Alien movie that I saw earlier this year or last year or whatever. It's stuff that I've seen out there because it's more engaging. It's got more story to it, more history to it, more acting to it than so many other movies out there. So
yeah.
And I liked Haley Atwell's part. I like Tom's part. I like the characters in this movie. I think the Trafalgar Square stuff at the end is kind of ridiculous, but they do it in every movie, so it's kind of
Yeah, no, look, I mean, there's things I can definitely look past. It is what it is,
yeah.
and and I don't think this is the end. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I don't think this is the final one.
I agree. There's no way. What Tom's involvement will be in the future may be different, but at the same time, it's not the end.
Yeah, no. I will say this though, in the movie, I mean, look, man, the guy's looked like $1 million for a long time, but he is starting to show his age.
I mean, he's almost 60 now, so yeah.
Like it just is, you can't, and you can't hide it forever. And
No,
I'm not saying
there's only
physically,
so
but
many
yeah,
he can clear.
yes, sir. But anyway, so yeah, man. So that's it, man. We both recommend it. Whether my score or is lower, it doesn't matter. It is kind of edge of your seat. It takes you through it. It's fun. And right now, Tom Cruise is on the roll, man. He's been crushing it, and I'm all about that.
I fully believe that he wants to die on set making a movie. I mean,
Oh shit, yeah.
62 years old. He's 62 years old, so he's over 60 at this point. So he can say some of the stuff that he's been saying lately. But
If he was if he was hanging off of a fucking plane and fell to his death, that would be in his
what?
cards.
I told my wife this. I said, I bet you it's in his contract that if he dies on set, you have to use that shit in the movie to kill my character off. That's how.
Hey, shit, that would be wild, dude. That would be wild.
I know there's
But
some on that stuff, but they can show a lot of it and insinuate.
no, I'm with you. GI Jet man, I am gonna go back and watch your top 10 and check that out. So just let you know I did not forget about that. Clint, I have to say it is better than Snow White. Mr. Magnus is probably correct. He won't stop until he's unable to run any longer.
What?
uh
No, that's in his contract. He has to run in his movies. He specifically puts that in his contracts.
yes.
You know, so Ralph Macchio is 1 year older than Tom Cruise.
Yeah, no, that's insane. Some people just have great genes.
Yeah.
But look, that is about all we've got for this week, man. We covered a decent amount of ground.
Yeah.
Usually I have way more articles saved than what we need. Some are more interesting than others, for sure. But that's where we're gonna leave it for this week, man. Please leave a like on your way out the door. Tell a buddy, bring a friend, share the stream. And obviously we'll see you guys next week. We really, really appreciate y'all tuning in. Matthew, I'll say this. I am going to be with 3 Star Draw tomorrow night on Sevens Wild. And we are doing a G.I. Joe sub team, favorite sub team, and then we're creating our own sub team so you guys can see what direction that goes in. I usually get real goofy with it. So that could be fun. But yeah, so that's what I will be doing tomorrow night with 3 Star. What about you, man? You got anything coming up? Let everybody know about before we hop out of here.
Yeah, nothing special. Just more collabs, more photographs. People have been really liking the stuff I've been putting out. I put a bunch of Memorial Day stuff out. I had unsung heroes and 2 Memorial Day posts, and some turtles tonight, and some GI Joe tomorrow, and just my normal stuff, superheroes and all that kind of stuff. Lots of GI Joe. Check out my Instagram, please. Check out some of those photos. It goes back about 5 years worth, and I post every day on average. So actually 1.4 images on average per day. So
yeah, you got quite a bit, man.
yeah,
You fill it up. Yeah, you fill it up.
So check that stuff out, and Obviously I've got some new ones coming, some stuff that I found and stuff that I'm going to throw in there. I think he might be attacking a dragonfly sometime soon. I'm just saying.
That would make sense. That would make sense. Might be attacking a rattler here coming up real soon too.
Well,
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm just turning into a Looney Tunes. All right, it's time to get out of here, y'all. Really appreciate it. We will see you guys next week. Bring some more news. Getting ready. Coming up. We got Fantastic Four. We got Superman. It's on the way. What's that?
Guess what comes out next weekend? This coming weekend.
Shit, why do I not know? You tell me. Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, then we'll get on it. All right, you guys. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Leave a like, leave a sub, tell a buddy, bring a friend, and we will check you guys in 7 days.